If you're lucky, once in a lifetime you meet someone that profoundly changes your life. A person that through their own triumph over challenge, fortitude, vision, grit, heart, and sheer determination inspires you to believe in yourself a little more. For me, that person was Erica Heller, a friend to me, a mentor to my 3 young daughters, whose extraordinary courage and faith through her battle with cancer, and her words of acknowledgement to everyone she encountered, ending every conversation with the empowering words, "I just want you to know I think you're amazing because," inspired a flash mob that went viral and created a global community. I Believe She's Amazing is a series that honors Erica in an ongoing celebration and in praise of the amazing girls and women we walk shoulder to shoulder with, from all walks of life, doing extraordinary things and leading by example. I'm KimMacGregor, and I thank you for tuning into this story. Okay, so here we go. So welcome to another episode of I Believe She's Amazing. My name is KimMacGregor, and today I'm so excited and honored to have this incredible, beautiful, amazing, inspiring person with me today. I found out about Steph the Hammer somewhere online. I honestly can't even remember where it was. I saw an inspiring video of her working out and training. And of course, I don't think I'm the only one that when you're just totally inspired by somebody, you want more of them. So I was like, where does she exist online? And found her Instagram page and started following her. And just like, honestly, Steph, goosebumps. Every time I see your post,
Thank
you
you.
just light up my day. I'm so inspired by who you are and how you live your life. And it isn't just because of your circumstances, it's just who you are, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So that's some of what we're going to share today. So please join me in welcoming Steph the Hammer. You can, but thanks for joining
Thanks
me.
so much.
After hounding you for so many times on Instagram.
I appreciate it. And like I've said, I get a bunch of messages, which I'm so grateful for. And I'm glad that we could finally connect. And I'm excited to be on the show.
Me too. Me too. So, Steph, why don't you start with just a little bit of a background about who you are, and and then just talk a little bit about what it is that you do today. We'll talk a little bit about your gym and everything, but just talk a little bit about the background of your life, your story as a young.
Okay. So my name is Steph Hammerman, and I was actually born with cerebral palsy. So I tell people I was born with it, but CP actually happens about 2 weeks after birth. I'm a twin, so my twin brother and I were born, and I had lost a lot of oxygen and blood to my brain, which had caused me to have like a mini stroke is the way that I explain it to people. But basically, my brain didn't develop in certain ways that the average baby would. So I was very small in size, and I actually got very lucky with the type of CP that I have, and it mainly just affects the lower half of my body. So I have full control of my upper body. Cognitively, I understand everything, and I'm very lucky to be able to have all of those abilities, but it mainly affects the lower half and the right side of my body. So growing up with CP was definitely a little bit different than your average person, but things took me a little bit longer. I definitely had to learn things at a slower pace when it came to doing things physically, like getting myself dressed or getting myself ready for school, anything like that. But I grew up in a family that never really saw it as any different. So to me, this was my normal. And 30 years later, it's still normal to me. So I feel very lucky to say that. But my life really started taking off once I went to college. I was 18 years old and decided not only do I want to go to college, but I wanted to go away to college. So I lived in New York and went to school in Florida. Excuse me. So I went to school in South Florida at Lynn University. I studied advertising public relations, and then decided that I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. So I got a master's degree at another university in South Florida at Nova Southeastern, and I got my master's degree in college student affairs. And so I loved being around people, and that's what I knew. My strengths were communication, and my other strengths were being around people and helping people problem solve. But during that time, I also found a passion for fitness. And so after my master's degree, I was actually about to take a position at a university, and something just didn't feel right. And I had become so involved in the CrossFit community and loved being part of the CrossFit community back in 2012 that when I graduated in 2014, I kind of said, "Hey, I'm gonna try this fitness thing and see how it works out." And while my parents, my family might have thought I was a little crazy at the time, it's definitely been an awesome payoff.
Amazing. And like all of that is so incredible. And you are, for anybody who doesn't actually follow you on Instagram, I'm going to put a little handle here, but you have to follow
Thank you so much.
her on Instagram. You have to follow her, and you will see some of the workouts that she does, but also you will see the gym that she works out in.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I chatted with you yesterday, Steph, that you actually own the gym and you
Yes.
for a year. So tell us the name of the gym and tell us what the gym does. And I love that the gym is for everybody, but also for adaptive workouts. So just talk a little bit about the name of the gym and what the gym does.
Yeah. So, in I guess my story really takes off after college, got into fitness, became the world's first CrossFit trainer with cerebral palsy, which is a really awesome title to be able to say. And I have a level 2 certification, so I'm really proud of that. But in 2016, my life kind of took a different turn. And not only do I have cerebral palsy, but in 2016, my boyfriend and I figured out that I had Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 3B. So my life kind of turned upside down and was frozen for a little bit, and we found out that my life was going to have to be put on pause so that I could really fight the biggest fight of my entire life. And it was a crazy diagnosis, but at the end of the day it really gave me the ability to think about what I wanted to do with my life, what I was super passionate about, and what I wanted to do next. I kind of look at my cancer as, my boyfriend and I talk about it as like an early honeymoon, as crazy as that sounds, because we had so much fun, right? But we also really got to think about life and what was important to us, and what we wanted to do moving forward. So we moved from New York City. We lived in New York City for 8 months, and when we moved from New York, we moved to North Carolina for absolutely no reason whatsoever. We decided to pick North Carolina just because we wanted a change. And when we did, we found Knightdale, North Carolina, which is about 15 minutes east of Raleigh. So you have a little bit of city, but you also have more of like the country type feel. And we fell in love with it. And so I knew that I wanted to open my own gym, but I wasn't necessarily ready years ago. And a year ago in September, I will have opened Hammer Driven Fitness. So it is very special. I'm so proud of it, and to know that we created this big reality out of a small dream is really cool.
Oh my gosh, so amazing. It's called
Hammer Driven Fitness, because my last name for right now is Hammerman. So, and they call me Steph the Hammer. So we went with Hammer Driven Fitness. It's also a CrossFit gym, so we brand it as home of CrossFit HDF. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know your passion, you have such a passion for CrossFit. And I know in watching all your videos and knowing that you were the first, to have that title, we were talking a little bit about the fact that there are, you sort of started that whole element of the CrossFit in that arena for people that were into adaptive sports and in wheelchairs. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is and how that's grown based on the impact that you've had, and how you were really like the one that created that idea to open it up to that new community?
Sure. So 7 years ago, I will say that I wasn't the first adaptive athlete to be doing CrossFit, but I was the first person with cerebral palsy that I knew, especially women, that was doing this sort of fitness. And at the time, I couldn't go off an idea. I couldn't say, "Hey, Kim, how do you do box jumps?" Because the way you do a certain movement wouldn't be the way I would do it. And so I really had to create that for myself and create that ability to be able to look at a movement and say, "Hey, how would I adapt this?" Right? And so being able to kind of be that trailblazer has been super special. now, I mean, there's so many resources for adaptive athletes, whether it's wheelwad.com, it's adaptive CrossFit. They even have an adaptive CrossFit certification now. And when it comes to competition, in 2014, I was doing my first CrossFit competitions pretty much by myself. I was like next to you doing your thing, and then there was me trying to create a division. And now we have divisions of adaptive athletics full of almost upwards to 80 to 100 athletes, and they come from all over the world, and they have all different sort of adaptive needs. So it's not just CP. At first it was just seated and standing, and now we've looked at it as neurological conditions. We've looked at it as amputee, below the knee, above the knee, congenital. It just, there's so many different types of adaptive athletes that it makes the competitions really cool to see.
Yeah, I love it. What would you say as far as, I know sports and working out, I certainly work out every day at home. Here we have a small gym in our home, but there's something so therapeutic and so cathartic, of course, about working out. What would you say is the best advice for anybody, whether they are an adaptive athlete or not? Because I know you have found such a passion in that area and health and wellness and working out. What would you say is the best advice to give to people who maybe aren't doing that quite yet? They haven't woven it in.
Find something. It doesn't have to be CrossFit. It could be extreme cooking for all you know. It could be like extreme basket weaving. Just find something that you're passionate about, something that gets you out of bed and says, hey, I want to do this again tomorrow. Now, what I love about our community and what we've built here at Hammer Driven Fitness is that you could have somebody in their 20s working out with somebody in their 70s. You could have somebody working out in their 70s and working out with somebody that is an elite athlete in their 30s. And so it's really cool to have like this whole, kind of hodgepodge of a community, and everybody comes together and they just treat each other the exact same way you would treat anybody else. My 9 a.m. class today was exactly that. I mean, it was all ladies, which is awesome. It's not normally always like that, but we had like a ladies hour today, and you had, adaptive athletes in wheelchairs. You had women of an older age. You had women that were more elite, women that were just scaling and just starting. And so as a coach, your brain kind of has to be everywhere and understand everybody's needs. But at the same time, at the end of the workout, they all feel the same. They all feel accomplished. And that's what's really special.
And that's so great about finding a common ground, I guess, that you are passionate about. It doesn't actually matter where you are coming into it at. You're going to get out of it whatever you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is so beautiful. Yeah.
And I think our place is super special like that, whereas you don't necessarily see that in all gyms. And I think that's where my dream came from, was I want to be able to work out next to my grandparents and feel just as accomplished as they would, or vice versa.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that. We were on a vacation last year, actually in South Carolina, not North Carolina. And we were at a gym, and there was all age groups. And my husband, who's 51, and my husband's in pretty good shape, he went up to this guy who was 67 and in phenomenal shape, and they were exchanging tips on how to work out. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so valuable. You've done so much in such a short time. Like, you're only 30, and you've accomplished something really big. And I know that running a gym is no small feat, and teaching classes is no small feat, and doing all of that collectively is really, really huge. And I know you have such a beautiful partner in your boyfriend. Do you have, like, what are the next level goals? Do you have marriage in your sights, and do you have expanding your gym? Like, what's next for you?
Our biggest thing is that obviously we're about to hit the year mark. So I want to just be able to expand the business as much as possible. When people come in, regardless of who they are, having the ability to experience the gym. We give people 2 weeks free to be able to come into the gym and just try it. So being able to experience that and just seeing where people start and where they end up is really cool. But bigger term, I think I really just want to find my own voice again. I used to love to do public speaking and do these big public speaking events, and I really want to get back to that. So I'm hoping that within the next couple of months, I'll be out on the speaking tours again and being able to share my news story with people.
Yeah, because it's so
So,
inspiring. It's so
yeah.
compelling, so compelling. And I know that you had mentioned that you maybe wanted to have children and a family and all that good stuff at some point, maybe.
Yeah, I think, obviously, I don't really know where life is going to take us, but moving forward, I definitely, I see him as hopefully the man that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And I'm not really sure how we're going to build a family, but however we do it, I think it's going to be really special.
Oh my
So,
God. And I love the your post and how the support that you give one another. Yeah, I think that's so important. And when you're
I tell people all the time that, like, sarcastically, like, oh, you could never really tell how much I love him. I'm a very, like, words of affirmation person. I don't know if you've read the book, but, like, I just love to express myself. And, the posts, sometimes he'll be like, oh, seriously again, but at the same time, it's nice to be able to have that and, share our thoughts with one another. And just I want people to know, this is the first relationship I've ever been in that's pretty much been really long term. And the fact that you find somebody, and I'm sure you know this with your husband, when you find somebody you just know, right? And not everything is perfect, and we try to share as much reality as possible on social media, just so that I have seen pages where everything seems like peachy and rainbows. And I don't want to portray that, because life is life, right? People go through struggles. People, we're not perfect people, but at the end of the day, he's exactly the person that I'm so glad that I get to fall in love with every day. So
awesome. He's perfect for you. That's
yeah.
what we're looking for. It's beautiful. I think it's so great. And I think, as you're developing your sense of self, there's so many components of that, right, Steph? It's your work, it's your personal life, it's your health, it's so many multiple layers that create that life that you're creating for yourself, that amazing life. We shared yesterday too, in our brief chat before this, the where the term handicap comes from, and you totally schooled me, because I didn't know. I hadn't never heard that before.
Yeah.
Are you okay to share that?
Yeah, I think, like I said, there's different variations of the story. Obviously, I wasn't there when it was told. But this is something that I've learned over the years, and have Googled different stories about it. But in essence, basically, there was a war that men came back from in the 1930s, and they came back, and a lot of them had, like, traumatic brain injuries, or missing limbs, or was something different about them, but they all worked in factories. And so when they came back, the government basically said, you can't have your jobs anymore. And so they fought and they fought and they fought, and the government finally said, fine, you can have a job. You can go put your cap in hand and go beg for money on the side of the road. Hence the word handicap, hand in cap. And so the way that I think society would view people, especially back in that time, was less than, right? Or that you weren't capable of doing XYZ, so you must do this. Like, this is all you're good for. And so in some cases, I think society still has that view of somebody with a different ability, whereas, like, not all people with disabilities actually are on disability, or don't have a job, or have to depend on somebody to do everything for them. I'm a big advocate for asking for help when I need help. I'm not afraid to ask a stranger for help. Trust me, I've done it multiple times. But at the same time, I'm also an advocate for living as independently as possible. And Tyler's a perfect example. My boyfriend and I, when we first got together, and then when we were going through chemo, there was a definitive line between caregiver and boyfriend, right? Or caregiver and the person that loves me. So he can love me in a way and want to take care of me as a boyfriend, or as my partner, as a man. But at the end of the day, if I need him to constantly dress me or to do something for me, and it became a constant, we would find the resources to find somebody else to do that, because that's not his role. His role is to take care of my heart, not to take care of me as a human, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, not to take care of my basic needs, if that makes sense. So, and there's no problem. There's nothing wrong with somebody needing help or having an aide 24/7. But for us, that was the defining line of, hey, you're my boyfriend and I'm your girlfriend, and vice versa. I mean, like, there are certain things where, like, he would never want me to do for him, and we do certain things out of love, but at the same time, he can take care of himself. He's fine, you know. So I think having that definitive line of saying, okay, this is our relationship and this is what we want it to look like, doesn't necessarily mean that's what your relationship with your husband's going to look like, or anybody else in a relationship.
I love that you've done that, though, because that is actually really smart. You schooled me again because that is so smart. And, you're so young and so smart, Steph. Like, I feel like I was a bit of a slow learner. It took me a while to figure out that it was okay to ask for help. I tried to be such a superwoman for so many years. And to
Yeah.
your young age know that that's okay. It's actually, transitioning the mental thought that that's a weakness. It's actually a strength to say, listen, I need help here, whether it's in this area or that area. So kudos to you for figuring that out at such a young age. Amazing.
I mean, there are things that, like, I am a very emotional person. I lead very emotionally. He is very logical. And you seem like a very successful businesswoman. I wish I could allow myself to be less emotional in business, and that's something that I'm working on. It's very difficult for me. Like we talked about yesterday, I'm very much a people pleaser, but I also want people to be proud of me, right? Like, I want people to like me all the time, and that idea that somebody doesn't like something that you're doing really hurts my feelings. And at the same time, you have to remember that you're you're the person, especially as a business owner, you're the person that speaks for the business, because the business can't speak for itself, right? And so for me, like, that's a big thing that I've learned, and I'm still learning. Like, I make mistakes every day, and I beat myself up probably more than I should, but at the end of the day, I have people that help me, and I've staffed myself with people that can help me, because I can't do this by myself, and I tried to in the beginning, and I learned real quick that I can't. So, yeah.
That's great. And I think the great thing about, well, I used to be a people pleaser too. That I can give you tips on that on the side, but that's such a journey in itself, is just recognizing that you're on your own mission, and you're good. Like, it's your approval is the one that counts the most. As we get ready to wrap this up, Steph, I wanted to just ask you, this whole video series is about recognizing amazing people, amazing women, and calling out what makes them amazing, because it's something different for everybody. And, you know, everybody sees something different in their sisters, their moms, their whoever the women are that are around you that inspire you in some way. So who are those women to you that you believe are amazing, that have maybe set a foundation for you and really given you this launch pad to be who you are?
Well, my grandma is definitely one of those people. My grandparents, together, have been married 61 years, and they have just, like, set the true foundation for our family and what it means to, um, you know, be a unit. But my grandma is one of the strongest women that I know. Like, no BS. Like, wants to get things done, and if it is one way, it is one way, and if you want to get something done, then just do it. So I think that I've been very lucky to be able to be surrounded with that as my foundation. And I think it's amazing to, even you, like, I met you yesterday, and I, like, just want to, like, hug you, right? And it's it's just it's nice to be around strong women, and I get to be around that all day long. I mean, I have somebody that's working right next to me. Her name's Lorraine, and she's literally one of the strongest women physically and mentally that I've ever met. And so, I think for me, being able to learn from people that are not only older than me, but that have had way more experience is not only going to help me, but it's going to help the business grow as well. And when you talk about what you want to do in the future, you need to take those things with you. And so whether it's, branching off this business and starting something, something else, or starting my book or whatever it is, like being able to have that foundation of it's okay to be a strong woman. It is okay to be emotional, but to know how to kind of balance the two. And so I think, that is a pretty much like a taboo subject of like emotion and a woman in a powerful position. But at the same time, like I'm also extremely emotional. And so like learning how to tone that down and kind of bring the logic out of certain situations is definitely helpful. And my grandma is one of those people. I mean, she's very loving and very affectionate, but if she wants to get something done, she's going to get it done.
I love it. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love that it's your grandma. For me, it was a lot of people in my family too, who didn't necessarily have a significant title of any kind. It was just the way they moved in the world and the way they behaved that has stayed with me for sure. And I love, part of why I do this show is to bring together people like you that other people don't know about. And I think everybody's going through our own challenges in life in so many different ways. There's so many moving parts to all of our lives. To stop and hear somebody like you, to hear your story and to hear what you're doing and to hear how you're braving the world and how you're leaving your mark, like you're really
thank you
legacy life, it's so amazing. And I'm so grateful that I get the chance to share you with a whole new community of people who get
thank you so much.
Yeah, so amazing. We say, one person can make a difference. That one person is you, and you are making a difference, and you continue to do that. And I honor you. I see you. I hold you up in highest regard, and I thank you so much for taking the time to be on the call with me today, Steph.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to say in parting as we wrap up?
No, I think, like I said, if there's somebody out there that either lives local or wants to know more about how to get into fitness, feel free to contact me. You can find all of my social media at Steph the Hammer. If you ever want to email the gym, you're more than welcome to do that, hammerdrivenfitness at gmail.com. And I am more than welcome to answer any questions possible. But even if it's not fitness, find something you're passionate about and go for it. Find it and just run with it, because your life's going to change whether you believe it or not. So
I love it. And passion's the best way to go. It's awesome. Well, thank you so much. We finished right around the right mark. So you've got a little bit of time before your class that you teach. And again, we're going to stay in super close contact. You have to write that book, and I will help you in whatever way I can.
Thank you.
You have to get your story out. And we'll be in touch again, Steph. But thank you so much again. And thanks everybody for watching. I'll make sure that we've got all your links so people can follow up with you. And
awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Have an amazing rest of your day, Steph. And happy
Bye.
birthday to everybody else. Big love. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the show today. I appreciate you taking the time to watch and meet our special guest, Stephanie Hammerman. Here's all the contact info if you'd like to connect with Steph. If you know an amazing woman whose story you'd like to share, please contact me at the information above. And always remember, as you take the story with you today, that one person can make a difference. That one person is you.